We had a good amount of people walking with us.
Yeah, that was fire. You was definitely dropping the nuggets. I don't know how that joint just turned out though.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I don't know what's happening with the media.
Right.
I'm gonna just wait just a second or two.
You remember where you was at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wait a second. Where was I? Okay, so what I was saying was doing a replacement of words and affirmations. So instead, if something saying like no one loves me or I'm not loved, you will replace that with I love myself. And I was moving forward into saying because you essentially have to give yourself what you want other people to bring to you. Okay, so if you're not truly loving yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not thinking about yourself with compassion and loving kindness, that's not going to come back to you. Okay, so that first relationship with yourself is what's really going to help set the standard for the people when they come in contact with you. So that's the first technique that I would give is to reformulate your thoughts. And you can do so by writing those things down and recreating new affirmations for yourself. You want to add something? Or want to keep going?
Yeah, let me add something real quick. We already said it earlier, but a practice called recapitulation, and this basically comes from the Carlos Castaneda teachings of the Yaqui Indians, which is the shamanic practice of being able to call your energy back. Okay, so the principle here is that the energy body or your emotional nature is immortal, right? So if it's immortal, it has no beginning or end. So you can literally travel back to the time in which traumatic experiences happened to you and extract your power all the way back from them. You can return the power that you had vested in those situations back to yourself and give the people who gave you less than what you needed their energy back as well. And the way that you do this is you basically look at the experience that you had starting from starting from the most traumatic to the least traumatic. And what you would do is you would just literally observe that experience that you had. All you're doing is being present with what happened to you. All you're doing is using witness conscious and the divine I am presence to obliterate the negative vibratory signature of that experience. The beautiful thing here is that once again, the mind does not, the subconscious and conscious mind do not differentiate between an event that's happening visually in your mind or an event that's happening in physical reality. So you can use the process of recapitulation to call all of your energy back. And again, that looks like you using deep connected breathing, like and you're basically imposing a picture of the traumatic experience that happened to you that you want to rewire. So this is a form of neuroplasticity and basically rewiring the brain. But the process would look like you using that deep breathing as a carrier wave and using the observer or the witness consciousness. Literally, you're detached from the situation, but you are observing it. And like we were saying earlier, these emotions, if they were children, all these emotions want to do is they want to be seen, they want to be felt, and they want their presence to be validated. So you can travel back in time through the vehicle of your mind and look at these experiences that you went through and see what it was exactly where you felt disempowered. You can see where somebody finessed you, where somebody came up on you. And the beautiful thing about this is that the energy body can neither be created nor destroyed. So it's eternal. You can literally travel back and impose a high vibratory pattern and rhythm on that experience. Okay. And the more you do this, the more that high vibratory signature will remain in your mind. And see, when you do practices like this, it changes the level of causation. Okay. Because the situation that may happen to you will happen because you had to deal with this repressed energy. So the trigger is going to come in a mirrored form time after time after time. Now, what happens if you change the level of cause? You change the situation. You start attracting the opposite of fear, the opposite of abandonment, the opposite of poverty, the opposite of lack. So that practices recapitulation.
Mm-hmm. And just to add on to recapitulation is why we were saying earlier is at the moment of at the onset of trauma, our body, our mind, to protect ourselves, to help us to survive what is going on in the experience, our mind kind of shuts down. It's stored somewhere, but it shuts down. And so that's why when certain things happen or certain people come into our space, we're triggered, and those things are start to surface back up again. But on a spiritual level, what happens whenever that trauma takes place, sometimes soul fragmentation takes place, meaning that pieces of your energy, pieces of your soul get stuck in time in that trauma that was taking place. And so when we do recapitulation, it's to go back and get those pieces that we lost. That's why sometimes we feel like we're not full, or we will say, on the extreme side, that we feel empty, or that they took a piece of me, they took a part of me. I died when this happened. I'm no longer that person. And so that's what makes recapitulation so powerful, because it's that a technique that helps you to go back and retrieve what is yours, your power, and so that can be with you sitting with yourself and doing meditation. And this is a lot of rough work, a lot of scrubbing work, and a lot of bravery and courageous work to even do recapitulation, because you got to put yourself back into that traumatic moment. And a lot of us don't want to see it again. A lot of us don't want to feel it. A lot of us don't want to even deal with it. It's like, it's too painful. I don't want to see it, but you have to remember that the divine being that you are, and that you are strong enough to be able to face it, to see it, and that you have angelic forces with you all day, every day. Whether you acknowledge them or not, they're with you. And so when you go into doing some higher vibratory spiritual work like that, they come with you like warriors, and so you don't have to feel alone, So when you go back into that meditative state and you take yourself back to that point in time, your intent in your mind should be, I am going back to retrieve myself. Exactly. I'm going back to retrieve my energy. It is mine. They cannot have it. Exactly. Period, point blank. And maybe, one of the other techniques that we're going to get into, it may take you to go through the forgiveness first before you can even ask yourself to go back and to do the recapitulation. You got to figure out what order and what level you want to come at this thing at, know. Because when we give the gift of forgiveness, it's the most beautiful gift that we can give ourselves and the planet. Because when people don't forgive, the cycles get repeated.
Exactly.
When people don't forgive, they move throughout their entire life in travesty.
Right.
So if you want to have beauty in your life, you have to let go. You have to say that I forgive whomever that person is, or people, or whatever may have hurt or harmed you. And and it doesn't have to be that you have to physically say to that person, I forgive you. They never have to hear it come out your words, out of your mouth at all. Right. It's some work you can do just by yourself. Don't put yourself in harm's way, especially if it's somebody that's, physically can harm you, or even, as soon as you get into this space and you try to speak to them, right, it's just not going to get anywhere. It's null and void. Don't even waste your time and energy with that one. You know what I'm saying? You can visualize that person in front of you, and you can offer up your forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? And then as you visualize them, their energy pops up. Just like when you start thinking about somebody and they call you, they can feel that that you're thinking about them, because names have energy, thoughts have energy, and so that energy pops up where they are. So when you're doing your forgiveness ritual, their energy will be there. And you'll see where it's housed at in your body. Exactly. You'll think about where it is and what you think about when they come up. And in that moment, you capture that and you pull it away from you. You release yourself from it. And you can use water and sage and fire and breath, use all the elements of the earth, you know, in order to get rid of this because it's no longer needed. I'm a big dreamer person, so I do a lot of dream work, and I encourage, you know, those of you who, you know, dream a lot and you remember a lot of your dreams. Everybody dreams, of course, but some people have to work up to remembering their dreams. You know, so that's a whole nother video in itself. But for those of you already who, you know, dream heavily, there's a lot of messages in your dreams. Your dreams is trying to tell you something, and you can start doing some journaling of your dreams so you can find out the symbolic messages that your subconscious is trying to tell you, that your angels is trying to tell you, higher self is trying to tell you. But what I was going to say was I had to do some in the physical world. I felt fine about somebody that I was forgiving, you know what I'm saying? But then they kept popping up in my dream, and every time they popped up in my dream, I felt a sense of fear. I felt a sense of they were encroaching upon my space. And so I had to go lucid dream to tell them, you can't be here no more. This is my space. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be able to go and do that as well when you're forgiving. It may have to take place in the dream world as well.
Yeah, that was at the edge. I mean, like, damn, I bet. Just to add on to what you were saying about forgiveness, like, it's crazy because these are some of the things that we actually start to do. Like, if somebody told you that you had cancer and you was about to die, or let me not even say cancer, like if somebody was to tell you that you were about to die like in the next 2-3 weeks, these are some of the same things that you would be doing to heal yourself spiritually that you can do right now consciously here in this moment. One of the first things that you would want to do, depending on where your heart's at, but I feel like most people would, is basically recorrect and reorient all your relations. You would want to make amends with your mother and father if y'all had beef. You would want to make amends with your children if y'all had beef. You would want to make amends with anybody that you wronged. Like, just saying, like, if you were on your deathbed and you knew you were about to die, this is something that pops up in people's psychology. So forgiveness is a very heavy technique because, like Queen was saying, like, not everybody is at different stages in their grief, and everybody's at different stages of process of healing. But forgiveness basically it's in the word forgive or fire give. You're basically illuminating and giving light to the inner deep recesses within your mind. People occupy and rent space inside of your temple, and you obsess over them, you fantasize over them, you replay moments that you had with them that went wrong, that could have went right, and they temporarily become your God because you devoted so much energy and attention to them that they basically sucked you dry and they live within. So what forgiving does is basically illuminates the deep corridors of the mind, and releases all of that trauma that does not belong to you, everything that does not serve you. So I just wanted to piggyback on that, and that's a really good one. I think forgiveness is something that we all is good for our spiritual well-being.
It washes you.
Yeah. Right.
It purifies you, cleanses you,
baptizes you.
Yes, it does. So some other things that, you know, you can do to help with your inner child healing is to offer your child self something that you felt like it needed, you know, in order to replace what was hurtful. So just the other day we were talking, and I was expressing something that was dear to me. And King says to me and says, well, what would you have wanted to be said in that moment? I said, I don't know. That's a good question, you know? So sometimes we have to ask our child self, our inner child, what did you need? What did you need? And once you find out what it is that you need, was it a hug? Was it a kiss? Was it I love you? Was it that you are worthy? You are valued? You know, what was it that you needed to be said to you in order for you to not be stuck, for your child self to not be stuck in that moment of time of feeling like, but then they said that to me, you know, and ever since they said that to me, I've just been frozen in time. And so it's like, we find, if you're looking at ourselves in like a linear sense, we find pieces moments in time where we're just stuck, frozen in shock based off of something that somebody else has said. And so what we want to do is unfreeze ourselves, start bringing back alive those moments of times, bringing back ourselves alive, helping ourselves thrive and grow, telling our child self what it is it needed to hear. Because essentially we are our own parents as well. We are our own lovers, our own brothers, our own sisters. All we are all that we need, all within our being itself. So you can give yourself that gift. That's a really powerful inner child exercise that you can do as well.
Yeah. And then just to add on, this is something that everybody does in some form or another, but just fasting, just going on a mental fast or not even speaking. And just even as far as thinking, we think way too much as a culture. We think entirely too much as a culture. So like going on something as simple as a silence fast would be incredibly beneficial and cathartic for your spirit, because what it will do is it'll allow you space. It'll allow you space to basically pay attention to the one who's talking and space to understand the one who's listening. And oftentimes the one who's actually reacting is not the grown, mature adult. It's actually the inner child that's hurt. That's the one who's actually reacting and lashing out and cursing somebody out, or being overly aggressive and being violent. So when you give yourself space, you can see yourself, you can see how you would manifest yourself on your higher levels, and you can see the mental commentary that happens on your lower levels. So going on a mental fast or a silence fast is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful. When you sit and don't label a situation, it brings immense power, because what you're doing is creating more space for your awareness to just perceive. At your inner core, the Buddhists say that your Buddha nature is pure, unadulterated awareness. That is your core. Around your core, you have different bodies. Or like even in the yogic tradition, they say you have 5 bodies, 5 sheets. Panchakosha. You have a bliss body. You have intuitional body, you have a mental body, you have an emotional body, and you have a physical body. So being silent literally allows you to abide in your soul. It shifts your frequency inward into heaven, everything that heaven is. So we're just fasting, silent fasting, and just being silent and just listening.
I do want to know if anybody has any questions or anything that they would want us to touch on that we haven't touched on yet. Please put them in the comments. But I love what you said about fasting. Fasting, like, gives your body a break.
Exactly. And it allows you to be. That's what Amun Ra is, even in Kemet. That's what it meant. It meant the hidden God, but the hidden God is within you. It's the witness consciousness that's sitting there silent, observing everything. And it's so funny because to heal some of these emotional energy patterns that we have, all we need to do is sit with our emotions and just observe them from a detached perspective. But we need to let them play out their full harmony. We need to let them play their whole symphony and just express themselves. The time is gone when we should just stop suppressing our energy. That's literally what shadow work and light work is about. When we deal with the shadow work, we're dealing with our deepest, darkest, most suppressed energies. And it was suppressed most likely when we were children, because you had to suppress them, because you felt like your life was on the line. Your sense of self was going to get assassinated if you talked back to your mother, if you didn't listen to your father. You know what I'm saying? So it's just very important to know how to sit with these emotions and sit with these thoughts and let them be. Once you don't identify with the thoughts, you're saved. Once you don't identify with the emotions, you're good to go. Some emotions you can identify with, but not the ones that you feel like you got the power of Satan inside of you. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody said something to you the wrong way. But it's incredible amount of power in knowing that you are not your vehicles, knowing that you are not the emotions, knowing that you are not your thoughts. I can't tell you how many times like I've been in a club or somewhere just with a negative energy field in general, and a thought just come right through your mind. If I had been in the type of thoughts that these are my thoughts and I'm thinking these, I would have thought I was crazy. But you know how much you see how much release and relief you feel when you know that these thoughts come out of everywhere. The mind is a radio, and the energy.
So I see we got some. First of all, peace to everybody that's still with us. Much
Peace to the
love,
earth.
much love and high vibrations to you. And we thank you for your time so much.
Right.
So it's just Lavasha. So sometimes sitting with your emotions is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel anxious when I have to sit with what I'm feeling, if that makes sense. Yes, makes sense, total sense. And then getting over that anxious feeling is another obstacle in itself. I would say as women in this society here in America, um, sitting with our emotions, sitting with how we're feeling, it's such a taboo because we're constantly told stop that emotionalness. You being too emotional or blah 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 blah. And so it's kind of made sitting with your emotions is kind of made to be like you're being fun of. It's the meme, you know what I'm saying? And it's undermined. And so we going throughout our femininity, not really knowing how to tap into it because we're told not to tap into it.
Right.
You know. So as we're coming into our goddess selves, as the rise of the divine feminine is penetrating the planet, like there's no getting around it. There's no nothing. All these structures, patriarch structures, are getting dismantled because of the high vibratory force of the feminine energy coming in to create some balance. We're gonna start to feel more comfortable with what once felt uncomfortable.
Right.
So sitting with your emotions, the more you do it, the more you feel at peace with it, because you know that it is a part of you. I'm a doula, so sometimes I tell my mamas, like, your labor, the pain that you feel from labor is only pain created by you. You know what I'm saying? You are your body. And so you're not going to receive any more pain than you can handle, because it is you. It is all of you. So your emotions is all of you. It's not going to be any more than you can handle. It might seem so initially because it's just new.
Right.
It's more that it's new than it's overbearing. So I would just suggest that to keep day by day, even for a little bit, 5 minutes out of your day, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and start increasing it and just thinking about, well, how do I feel about this? And that way you'll have a better refinement of that energy. Because once we become more refined with our energy, we feel we're better identify what's truly ours, because we're feminine. We're picking up energy from not just ourselves. We're picking up energy from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? That's just the divine feminine, period. So what we have to learn how to do is, I'm doing this, and you guys know I'm thinking about anime, right? I'm thinking about a chakra ball. But basically, that's what it is, like trying to control your pool of energy, basically. And knowing what's yours and filtering out what's not yours in order for you to find peace and harmony within yourself. So the more that you do that, the more you should feel less anxious, and you can hit some of these thumb to middle to help reduce some of your anxiety. Also doing some deep breathing will also help reduce some of your anxiety. Rubbing on your temples will also do that. Pressing here will also do that. Because that's you got to address your physical. Your physical body is bringing up the anxiety. So address it so that it starts to know, okay, we need to do this. So you need to get it under control. so we can get through this. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing too, just sitting with your emotions, being outside in nature in a natural landscape will actually calibrate your energy back to where it needs to be. Because you might be sitting in a room and somebody might be talking in the background, and it's a certain set of things that's happening that trigger you into feeling the same response. You know, it's like they did a study with mouse one time where they were ringing a bell like every 30 seconds or something like that. And it basically trained the mice to go look for a certain food each time the bell rang.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you inhabit the same set of circumstances, you've already been conditioned to move the same way, to feel the same emotions. What happens to you when you see Lavasha? What happens to you when you see Tay Diggs or Boris Kojo? You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. You're gonna feel the same type of way like every time. So novelty will create a sense of the self because the self loves to experience itself in new capacities and new dimensions. So just something as simple as going outside and being with your emotions is so much more of a clear expression of what's actually real, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just another thing.
How do you both feel about astrology? Do you think it plays a part in our programming? I definitely, I'm like, yes. Okay.
All right.
And I say this because everything is energy. Everything is influencing everything at the same time. Okay, because we live in an interdependent universe. So everything is depending on one another in its unique, individualized self. We've come to as a collective, and as a collective, we're all influencing everything. So there's a planetary influence, there's a universal, there's a galactic influence. There is just us sitting here vibing with you all. We're all connecting right now. All of that has a vibratory tone. It has a frequency. It has a hertz to it. You know, it has a mathematic notation to it. And so when it comes to your astrology, at the moment in time that you were born, it's a mathematic, it's a science to it. So at the moment in time when you were born, you're influenced by how the planets were set up, how the stars were set up, how the moon was, how the sun was, where, you know, all of those things influence you and zapped you at the moment that you were conceived and born. So, and even as you go throughout your life, it's not to say that you can't transcend these things. I also want to put that out there.
Right.
You can always transcend in any energy. That takes a lot of work, refinement, and spiritual development to be able to do so. But you also have to, before you can even get there, you have to be able to maneuver with what you were working with first.
Right.
And a lot of times, what our astrology, the blueprint of our astrology is teaching us how our soul can evolve.
Right.
So if you are, you know, a particular zodiac sign, there's strengths that are within that sign and there are weaknesses within that sign. Most of the time, those strengths are what you are coming to bring into this world to help other people who your strengths are their weaknesses, and vice versa. You have a weakness that your soul needs to work on, and he's going to put you in experiences that's going to help you to work on that. So like when we say, Lord, or God, or Yah, or Jah, or whatever universe, spirit, and we say, give me patience. It's not going to just, here's patience.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to give you situations that's going to call you to be patient. And it'll keep giving you situations to help you improve upon your patience. So it's the same thing with our astrology. Our astrology is just a blueprint that's going to help give us the lessons that our soul came here to learn in order for it to evolve. So yes, that's my answer. I can go on and on because you got your life path number, your numerology, your human design. It's so many different things that's playing a part in you, you know, and knowing them can help you. Can be utilized as a tool. You don't want to become obsessive with it and feel like you're stuck or trapped within the confines of your astrological blueprint, but you can use it as a means to help you and to understand yourself on a deeper level.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with what Queen was saying. Astrology definitely is just, it explains how energy moves within form during cycles of time, you know. But the main thing to remember is that the stars do compel, but they aren't the ultimate say so. you have something in you that is higher than any star or on par with each star, because every soul, everybody that has a soul, obviously every soul is a dormant universe. So every soul is the dormant seed of the universe. So we believe in astrology, but at the same time we know that heaven wishes us greater success. At some point in time you're going to be a planetary body, you're going to be a solar body, you're going to be an entire cosmos, you're going to be an entire galaxy. So it's very important to understand that, yes, these stars, they move us and they program us, especially like even since we're talking about healing, my bad, as a side note, it's important to look at your parents' birth chart. It's important to look at your parents' map, you know? Like just thinking about this, how many of y'all can answer or not, but how many of y'all have actually looked at your parents' birth chart and asked your parents what experiences they went through between ages 6 to 14? You know what I'm saying? That shaped their view. But yeah, my bad, I just started it. But yeah, astrology is well, we had to realize that like astrology is one of the most ancient sciences and they're preserved in all cultures. So there's definite truth in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't really look at my astrology like that personally or whatever. Boo Boobot does that for me because she like the star guide and shit. But I will say that we listen to our intuition so much that when it comes time for me to look at my chart, like I'm already aligned. You know, there's no divination system higher than your intuition, and that's just a fact. You know, because your intuition is linked to that which was here before creation. Okay. And these astrological bodies are just that. They're bodies, they're planetary bodies. They radiate mental energies, emotional energies, and physical energies, and electromagnetic energies because they are actual entities. You know what I'm saying? We can never forget that these planetary bodies are the physical body of beings whose consciousness we can't comprehend. So on some level, they're like our older brothers and sisters. But at some point in time, we are going to go on our own path because we have our own trajectory. We are also stars. So yeah, astrology definitely programs you. It tells you about your temperaments, but you can always change that. Think about this. You have somebody that was born as a natural born leader. Then you have somebody that actually forged their own path. They became a leader. You know what I'm saying? So we look at astrology definitely as a map and a guide of sorts, you know what I'm saying? But it's not the end all be all. And I do feel like astrology can program you, but it's on us to break the wheel, the 12 zodiac wheel.
Do you focus on all points of your chakras?
Well, the thing is that like every experience that happens goes to each of your chakras. Each of the chakra on the spinal cord is a system and a level of perception. So if somebody says, fuck you, they got hate Kanye, you know what I'm saying? One person might respond from their root chakra and just be angry, like, damn, that was fight or flight because Kanye is your everything. And the other person might be up here with it. They might be like, fuck Kanye. Like, I like Kanye, but fuck it, I don't care, you know what I'm saying? But we don't really focus on one point too much. I'm not gonna lie, like there are times when we focus on one, which will be the heart, because it's the bridge, it's the gateway, it's the nexus point between all of the chakras. But I don't like to isolate things. I've learned that being melanated, being on this earth, we actually come from a fractal. We are priests and priestesses of fractal geometry. So when we study something or do something, we realize that it affects the whole. It's very hard to isolate something. You know what I'm saying? When you have a holistic perception of stuff. So I personally tend not to like just be like, all right, this is root chakra day. This is heart chakra day. You know what I'm saying? There are times when I get to the heart, but for real, once you're moving with a certain flow, every single chakra gets the light of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Chakra is a cognate of the word church. So here I'm saying every church is Christ is going to be in every church. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to be at the church of Smyrna or the church of Philadelphia or Ephesus, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the 7 churches are. But yeah.
I agree with what Lou was saying. That, and it goes back to just that all of these things are just tools for us. We don't want to become obsessive with everything and feel like those are the only points of restoration and salvation, you know.
Exactly.
But you can utilize your chakras. For anybody who doesn't know, your chakras are pools of spiritual energy housed within the etheric body. So the etheric body is one of the 7 bodies outside of your physical, your matrix body. And then so it's just above the physical body. And in that is what holds your sorry, I'm reading. Holds those pools of energy, and each chakra correlates to a particular theme. So, just for example, I'm not going to go through all of them, but just for example, like your root chakra is dealing with, survival and fear. And so when you're working with that chakra, you want to address what are your fears, because fears can be just as damaging as putting a lit match in your mouth, It can be devastating to your life if you're walking through your life constantly in fear. Or constantly having to worry about surviving as well. So as you go throughout the chakras, and moving up, somebody mentioned about the heart chakra, so I'm going to go into that. You move up through your heart chakra, which resonates to the color green. Mm-hmm. The heart chakra is, well, basically here on Earth, if you take a look, what do we see a lot of? Mostly green. Just looking at nature. So this is a dimension and plane that is calling for us to find balance within our heart chakra, find balance within, the love within ourselves and the love for those around us. And so when we're doing heart chakra work, we want to address certain things like jealousy, envy, compassion, hatred, revenge. Those are things that are going to be on the positive side and the negative side of your heart chakra work. And so you want to address how are you relating to the world? Are you relating to the world through love and kindness, joyfulness and beauty? Or are you going throughout the world feeling bitter and revengeful and closing yourself off? Are you being distrustful? Are you not taking the time to commit to build upon relationships? Those are the type of things that you're going to start dealing with the heart chakra. And because it is green, and because it is of this dimension, you are 100% have to commune with nature. Mm-hmm. Go and be with the green. And most of the time when you do sit with nature is going to tell you how to help balance your heart chakra. Exactly. And it might sound crazy, like what tree is talking to you, but it's not even that a tree is actually talking to you, but you start tapping into your telepathy. You start tapping into your clairaudience, your clairvoyance, and you're able to receive messages from nature through the animals that you see, through the wind, through the the movement in the trees. All these things house nuggets for us. Mm-hmm. And so we won't receive them if we don't spend time with them. And even when we're outside, we're also being exposed to pranic energy, which is basically like solar breath. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so when we're taking in deep breath out in nature, we start cleansing ourselves. And it allows our heart chakra to open up and become balanced, because we start to see from a completely different perception. We start looking at life as something to value and not something that's just frivolous, and unimportant. Sorry. And then from there, we start to make changes within our life. We start doing things a lot more different than we did, because we start to see that when we weren't communing with nature, we did this, that, and the third. And all of those things that we were doing was against nature, from pollution to throwing garbage on the floor and not putting it where it belongs. Exactly. Throwing things into the water, feeding into all these consumers' industries. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. There's so many things that we as humans do that is so against nature. It's almost ridiculous. Not almost, it is ridiculous. And it takes time to start doing those things. Nobody's perfect, but we just have to work towards living more minimally and respecting nature and honoring nature for what it is, and an abundance of wealth and nurturing love towards us. Like look at the trees as an example. When you sit with a tree, you will start to realize that this is a being that nourishes a plethora of kingdoms on a day-to-day basis in stillness. You know, the tree doesn't say, hey, give me back my oxygen that I just released to you. It doesn't say, give me back my fruit. You know, it doesn't say to the birds, get out of my, get off my branch, you know, or don't burrow any holes in me. It's there just giving. And so when you sit with trees or sit with nature, you start to understand service. Mm-hmm. You start to understand giving of yourself without expecting anything back, you know, true giving. And when we start to move and live like that, that's when those things start to come back to us naturally, you know. But I don't want to get off topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, so definitely what Queen was hitting on, like she was talking about the trees. This is some very simple heart chakra work. I want to say that, like, just having the realizations and living your life accordingly, according to the inner impulses that you have on the inside, they open up all the chakras. There are different type of yogas for different type of eras, and different type of yogas for different type of races, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But when you live a life filled with love and you act on this earth as if heaven is alive and you know it's alive, you know what I'm saying? And you act as a appendage for divinity, your chakras naturally open up. But one very simple way of opening up the heart chakra is to just go hug some trees. You know what I'm saying? That's one very simple one. The other one is that the heart is, as a spiritual manifestation, the heart is the divining rod of the soul. You know what I'm saying? And the soul's key word is group consciousness. So one of the ways that you open the heart and expand the soul is by giving. The reason why your hand, all of your hands, everybody's hand on here, your hand is always going to be the same size of your heart. Mm-hmm. Don't we have like 14 phalanges in here or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, but your hand is always going to be the size of your heart. And the reason that is because your hands are a fourth dimensional projection of God's perfect love and perfect will. So it means that in order to open up the heart chakra, we have to give. Mm-hmm. You have to give. A soul grows and a heart expands when it gives. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when you take and when you assume stuff is yours, it dwindles. You know what I'm saying? It's like a flower that wilts. So it's very important that service actually. This is what comes next once you realize you are God. Okay, self-realization happens, and then self-actualization happens. Mm-hmm. The self-actualization part comes in where you start to serve. Mm-hmm. You start to become ripe. You start to become ripe for heaven. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's why your hand is literally the same size as your heart, because your work is your worship, and that's going to help you expand your sense of being on this planet, and expand your sense of who you are. It's going to expand your heart by giving. Mm-hmm. Experiences like that have definitely opened up my heart chakra, just hugging trees and giving. You know what I'm saying? Don't even tell nobody. Like, if you got a project or something like that where you want to serve some people, don't come on here and tell people, but just do it. Like, it's like a pure flow, pure principle flow of just giving. And that, I promise you, that opens up your heart chakra. Mm-hmm. Just meditate and contemplate on the word service, and you will orient yourself into becoming service. You know what I'm saying? You are what you eat. You are what you read. You are what we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that goes into Ava's question about, do you suggest Reiki therapy? It's just another tool that you can use for healing and restoration and recuperation, recalibration. Because like he was saying, with your hands being the extensions of your heart, there's so much healing that can take place within hands. Mm-hmm. So if you do go to a Reiki practitioner, I do practice Reiki. My only suggestion would be to know what energy is right for you. You don't want anybody to just recalibrate your energy. You know what I mean? But that also, comes with your own sensitivity and your own intuition, and start tapping into what your soul needs and what it doesn't need. You'll know it just by the first impression of energy. It's not about judgment. It's not about how a person looks. It's about the feeling and what your soul says initially to you when you come in contact with that other soul.
Exactly. And I love Reiki. I definitely think that having people do energetic body work is a plus, because I do energetic body work you know what I'm saying, as well. Like that's part of my profession, to do massage and different energetic work. But that's is really good. And also like just something physical that I found out not too long ago. But some of y'all might know about it. But Cambo, the frog poison. Some of y'all probably I don't even know, probably aren't even down for that or whatever. But like it's a type of poison from a tree frog in South America. But I've heard a number of psychics and clairvoyants say that it's like the number one heart medicine on the planet. You know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because the tree frog in South America and Brazil, it has no natural enemies. Its immune system is its immune system. It has poison. It has the vibration where it doesn't have any type of enemies. And that's what love is. You know what I'm saying? It's not about not having enemies, but it's about being fearless, being absolutely indestructible, absolutely inviolable because it's sacred. But that's something interesting. Just it makes for a good study topic. You know what I'm saying? If you ever want to go to like a sweat lodge and actually consume candle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything dealing with like rose or rose definitely comes from the heart chakra of the planet. Rose oil, rose quartz. Yeah.
And your heart chakra is also the bridge. You know, it's the bridge to the higher realities. So once it's you dealing with your, you know, the lower vibrational, which when we say lower vibration doesn't mean like it's less than or anything like that. But you have your lower chakras and your middle chakra, which is your heart chakra, which plays as your bridge and takes you up into the higher realities of your throat chakra. And even when we look here on earth, when we look up, what do we see? We see blue, you know, and that's your throat chakra. And so we're also dealing with communication. We're also dealing with standing in our own voice. We're also dealing with being able to create healthy communications within our interpersonal relationships.
She said, "Swing that tree frog plug." Hey, for I got you. If you ever in Miami, Lavasha, if you ever in Miami, I can definitely assist you with the connect on the grandmother ceremony and the grandfather ceremony, dealing with the ayahuasca and peyote, but also people that administer Cambo, the frog poison as well. That's definitely been a huge purge for people in the community that's down with that form of shamanism. But yeah, the heart chakra is everything. You know, entire worlds and energies can be known, past, present, and future can be known entirely through the heart. You know, and that's what we're talking about. Like this is literally the age of the feminine. This is the age of the woman, which makes it the age of the heart. You know what I'm saying? This culture basically uplifted the mind and put the heart on a pedestal, to its own detriment. But this is what we're here for. Aquarian light workers, however you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? We're here working with the energies of the heart.
So does anybody have any more things they want to say or questions before we really wrap it up?
Yeah. Anybody got any questions? We'll definitely go for it.
We'll wait a couple.
Exactly, kind of feeling.
And again, we just want to thank you for spending your time with us today. This evening, giving us your evening. It's much appreciated. So much love in the room. In the room. I can feel it. I can feel your energies. Is it possible for someone to interfere with your energy? Absolutely.
Trevon, what's good, man? I ain't talked to Trevon. Bro, he can tell you, bro. It's been a minute. But go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to for people to interfere with your energy. The main thing in terms of energy is that here's the thing. Like we have a part of us that cannot be touched, shaken, or moved. You know what I'm saying? You got a part inside of you that's so holy that nothing and no one can get to it. The main thing is to build a bridge to be able to contact it, you know? So we want to start with having a divine image of ourselves instead of constantly identifying with our mind and our emotions and our body and those type of states of being, you know what I'm saying? Saying stuff like, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm tired, I'm hungry. This is you identifying with your vehicles, you know what I'm saying? Your vehicles were there to serve the self, not for you to serve your vehicles. But I was going to say, to help you maintain your energy, I'm gonna give you two things or whatever. It's just two practices. The first is to form a divine image of yourself that never changes, meaning the end of time can come and this divine image is still the same. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in tune with my conscious immortality. The kingdom of spirit is embodied in my earthly flesh. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was made and created based upon the divine blueprint of the natural, like something divine that will never change. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows what that is except for you. You have to create this. But what that does is it sets up an eternal, perpetual motion into the oneness of the creator. And it stays with you forever, as opposed to having a constantly shifting goals, such as I need to get this 100 racks. That's who I am. I need to open up a cheesecake factory. That's who I am. You know what I'm saying? We build up all of these walls and stuff like that, and we miss this one essential truth that we're just travelers.
Mm.
We need to meditate on the transient nature of reality. We need to meditate on the permanence of the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing, just having a divine idea. The second one is to contemplate five, it could be one, whatever, 1 to 5 eternal principles a day. Okay? And so one of these eternal principles can be eternity or space, just contemplating on the nature of eternity. I guarantee you, if you contemplate and meditate on eternity, you will look at your state of being right now from the point of existence, and nothing can shake you. I promise. Go into that for like 20 to 30 minutes and literally just orient your mind to the concept of eternity and how you are an eternal being. You have no beginning or end. You know what I'm saying? If you go into meditation off of that state or contemplation in that state, like literally wrapping your mind around that for like 20 to 30 minutes, your whole day, you'll watch it from a mountain peak and you'll see the happenings on earth just play out. But you'll be at the mountain peak because you just meditated and contemplated your own eternal nature. How can somebody cutting you off on the highway interrupt you? You're at the peak, so you're thinking like a divine being. No more phases of thoughts that we can equate with being immortal or just a regular human. You know what I'm saying? This is real psycho-spiritual techniques that aid in the transformation of your mental, physical, and emotional state. I promise you, if you just meditate and contemplate eternity every day for 21 days, whatever they say changes a habit, let alone for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? There's not too much that could interfere with your energy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And so just to wrap it up, basically all that we've been talking about this evening is how we can heal ourselves from our mental and emotional trauma, as well as our inner child, so that our souls can evolve. And some of the techniques that we mentioned was journaling, doing some dream work, recapitulation, which is going back and retrieving your soul that might have been fragmented during trauma. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about visualizing your divine being, your divine self, working through your chakras, understanding your astrological chart, your natal chart, your numerology, and utilizing those as tools to help understand yourself and understand the lessons that your soul is being called to experience. Did I miss anything?
No, you hit it. Mental, emotional trauma, and astrology.
Oh, and the last one was talking to your child self and telling your child self or giving your child self what it needed in the moment of time that it felt deprived of something.
Exactly.
But we love y'all.
Yes,
we love y'all so much.
Thank you for giving us this time.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Mm-hmm. We will connect with you all again on another day. Have a peaceful and loving evening. Go to night before you lay your head on the bed and fall asleep. Go into your sleep with the intent to beautify your life, to remove the debris and toxicity that you're holding within you, and it no longer serves any purpose in your life anymore. So we're going to sleep on that.
Okay. And I just want to speak to y'all inner child. We could tag team this too, but I want to speak to y'all inner child right quick, okay? And just listen to these words, okay? I love you. You are more than enough. I would never leave you. I would never abandon you. You are powerful beyond measure. You are beautiful. You are wise. You are truth. You are justice. You are balance. You are gods. You are goddesses. You are universes. You are souls. You are spirits. You are eternity. You are life loving itself. You are balance. You are the law. Okay? I love you guys.
I love
I
you.
love you.
I'll see you that day.